been waiting for you.
Hello?
Hello, Judge. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everybody. Hi, Trible B and Preston. Hope everyone's having a great day. It was a fun day for me. We got stuff done. You know, when you're just having that day when you're like, okay, there's a billion books that were released this week, but we got everything done and processed, bagged and boarded and taped, and everyone's boxes. Just every once in a while, everything works out. Nothing arrived late. It was a good comic book day for me as a comic book store owner. No snafus.
I had all the snafus.
I just traded them to you.
Like, you know, my internet was out this morning, so I couldn't watch my shows while I was waiting for my iPad to charge because my iPad was dead, so I couldn't read till my iPad charged. But I had to kind of sit like I was Amish until the iPad charged up. And then I read my comics, and I made myself angry with the comics I picked. And then decided to make chicken tacos for dinner, but the chicken didn't get done in time before I had to come here. So like now I could just smell it on me, but I have not gotten to eat it yet.
Chicken tacos.
Yeah, I'm trying to be healthier.
I'm proud of you. Cooking at home instead of ordering out.
Using yes and no. Because I totally ordered out Taco Bell nacho cheese and a couple of other things to go on them. But rather than just buying Taco Bell for the whole meal, I made chicken tacos at home.
Yeah, I've got a question. Jay behind the scenes, my good friend. Can I do a giveaway during this show? Is that too many crazy things? Because I promised to give away this cool comic to people that helped us get to 3,000 subscribers, and I've just never done it as an official thing and given it a chance to happen. I think it's these folks that made it happen. So
I got it, Jay.
Woohoo! The swigging water. He's been doing that for a little while though. He had the flavored water. I don't know if he's still doing flavored water.
I am doing flavored water, but we were talking about a thing that happened earlier. My water bottle for my flavored water was in my car, and my car is not here. So it's like a thing.
Plus, there's a bunch of like official subscribers on today, so really hope we get that.
So here's what we're gonna do. How do we want to do this, Miss Jen? Do we want to give them a hashtag, or do we just want to let everybody who comments get in?
Let's put down. The hashtag is LoveYou3000.
Okay, hashtag LUVU 3000. Okay.
Enter to get this one in. I keep on pointing the wrong way over my shoulder.
We're going to spell it a little wrong just to make it harder for people.
That is a 1 in 50 art germ. Batman 133. Really pretty, hard to get. Thank you, DC, for this beautiful giveaway. There you go. Lieutenant's on. Yeah. Lieutenant's one of our early subscribers. All right. Comics. We'll do that at the end of the show. Like and share and tell your friends they can come and join too.
Yes. Who is blowing me up? What are we doing?
No one does as long as Nick. Okay.
Right.
No,
Nick does.
Hashtags really long.
Nick wants hashtags to be like entire graphic novels. Like, I've read Malcolm Gladwell books shorter than Nick's hashtags.
Oh, that's the best. Oh, okay, so Absolute Batman #2. I sure hope you guys got a chance to find a copy of #1. You get another chance with the Batman Noir soon, #1. The second prints all sold really quickly out there, so if you have one, consider yourself really pat yourself on the back. So you still have Alfred, who is a secret agent out there just monitoring Batman's movements, right? He knows he knows who he is when he's in costume. He knows who he is out of costume. So there's no secret for this guy. But he's kind of been tasked like whoever is over him is like, we'll tell you when it's time to kill him when he becomes too much trouble for us. But meanwhile, Alfred's trying to convince him, let him keep going because he keeps on angering, like by destroying all of the plans of the party animals, which are those really scary guys that are just like creating chaos in Gotham City. And keep letting him do that because he's doing this with the party animals, I'm getting more and more information about the person who's in charge of them, which is what is his main task, right? So that's one of the main storylines that's going on. We're still getting a little bit of back history for Bruce. I mean, really, he's just a construction worker, right? What, you got your copy?
I haven't read it yet. I feel bad.
It's
been sitting here going, read me for like a month. And I'm
really anything
dying.
except for that Alfred is a secret agent and not actually his butler.
Taking it home with me tonight and I'm reading it. Dang it.
I like how they're developing this character by way of the character doesn't say or do anything directly with the camera or the action. It's all from Alfred's point of view. So you get his opinion about like, oh my gosh, this is the way his mind works. This is the way he's not reactionary. He's like 12 steps ahead of everything that's going on. So it seems like he's everywhere, but he's not. So I don't know. He more and more feels more like Jack Reacher. Every single issue that I read, I'm like going, yep, this has just been made for a person that could be Reacher. So it's awesome. Don't miss out on it. Good night, John Boy, Eddie says. 5 first prints, only 3 second, 5 #2. Perfect. Way to go.
Okay. So this is the week of Space Marines for me.
Pew, pew.
Except that Space Marines are like a thing. And these are like Wish.com Space Marines.
What does that mean?
It means they're not good at space marining.
Okay.
This was the better of the 2 space marining books, I will say. This book has definite Halo vibes, which I can see, because wasn't Tom Hardy at one point attached to the Halo thing when they were going to do a Halo movie?
Oh, I don't know that.
I don't remember. But anyway, it has Halo vibes, but it has, this book is, the elevator pitch on this would be Halo meets Frankenstein.
Oh.
Essentially, we have left Earth thinking we're great. And we get to other places and realize maybe not so much. But we have good weaponry and we're good at killing things. So we do a lot of that. But as it turns out, that comes at a cost, and our main character falls victim to that cost. There is also what I would say is a pretty well written love story or romance story that will add a certain wrinkle to the space marines. I don't even know how to really fully explain it without spoiling it, but these guys love destruction and death. But then after they do the destruction and death thing, they really like to have a different kind of good time.
Oh.
And then, but like in a totally like not gross way.
Okay.
Like it feels sort of monogamy-ish. I don't know that it's that Tom Hardy, Jay. That's the thing. I assume it's that Tom Hardy, but I don't know that it's that Tom Hardy. Because it's written and scripted by Scott Snyder and Frank Thierry. And it's like character development by Tom Hardy. But then some things go awry and it gets a little more interesting. And you're not sure who the first person who's telling the story yet. You're not sure who your narrator is. And that, I think...
Contributions by Oscar-nominated actor Tom Hardy.
There you go. But again, I don't know that it's that Tom Hardy. I assume it's that Tom Hardy, but I don't know. Somebody called Tom Hardy could be nominated for costuming. I don't know. Anyway, all I'm saying is that this has a lot going for it, but needs maybe a second issue to kind of bring it all together and bring it sort of home.
G.I. Joe. We've been working toward this since Void Rivals #1. All part of the awesome.
Long.
But it's all been good.
Right, we've been working for this for so long. I thought it was out already.
The G.I. Joe part?
Yes. Well, because way back when they announced Void Rivals, I think they told us this was coming.
Yeah.
And that's like 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like I made a t-shirt for the experience based on this moment that we've put up, gotten taken down because of copyright. I've redrawn, put up, gotten taken down because of copyright. Now the book's here.
Finally. All right. So all the setups are like, if I'll kind of give you all you need to know. So the universes that are part of Transformers, which has the Energon power source, right, are all connected to everything that would be part of G.I. Joe. Same universe. Long ago, the Autobots, or some of the Autobots, crash landed on our planet. Most of them were damaged critically. There are some that still exist, but there is a bit of Energon that went missing and or stolen by Destro, who has used that to his advantage to impress who is now Cobra Commander with his ability to make and create new things in order to form what is become what we're used to as Cobra, right? But it's very early Cobra. They're just getting their group together. Like, it's not like the giant cartoon been around forever and has 50,000 action figures based on the characters Cobra. Okay. It's both that for Cobra and for what ends up being the G.I. Joe team. They are not really even formed here. You've got people that have been part of military operations, but have not worked together as a group. It's really cool. This issue actually goes through. Their group leader wants everyone to be him. He's like, I know I'm the perfect machine, perfect military person. I want everyone to do what I would do. And he gets talked to by someone that is near and dear to him, that's been over him in the military, given very great advice. You actually get to see that kind of play through a little bit in here. There's a new Joe-related character that gets introduced here. You get to see a new Energon-related weapon. And it's just a really great start. I'm still amazed at how they woven the two universes together and not had them feel like some kid just like was playing with their action figures and like, what would happen if these two things interacted? This is like a really well thought out universe. This is the first really what I think really big payoff. This is truly what everything's been leading toward, but this is not one of those first issues you're like going, well, great. That's how it all fits together. Who cares now? This is perfect setup for everything going forward.
Jay is traumatizing me with his comments.
Oh, by the way, the Baroness is on the Joe team. Clearly, she's wearing an outfit.
Okay. Calavera, I believe is how you're supposed to say it. P.I. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, does this book have a lot happening. And the biggest problem I have, and I'm going to say this up front, my Spanish is real bad. All the Spanish I know is related to professional wrestling moves and ordering at restaurants. So, like, despite having taken Spanish in school, my Spanish is really bad. A lot of this book, what you have is that thing you see in movies where you have a Spanish native speaker, where part of the conversation is in English when they need the people who only speak English to understand it. And then part of this book is like, then they just immediately switch into Spanish when two Spanish speakers are speaking to each other. And while it can be very effective, and it is in this case, it can also be wildly confusing when you're trying to read a book for review. So this is the story of a private eye in classic Hollywood. And this private eye's shtick is that he is the champion of the people. And at this time, the people he was championing were the underrepresented and largely oppressed Hispanic community of Hollywood. Maids, drivers, people who are being humanly trafficked at this point, things like that. This thing opens up on a transaction between a coyote and a bigwig in Hollywood who is buying people for purposes. And this detective, this is a minor spoiler only for the very beginning of the book, basically dresses up as the guy's maid, including wearing what looks to be a flesh mask to look like the guy's maid, gets shot, but is wearing a vest, jumps up, knocks the bad guy, the Hollywood bigwig out, shoots the coyotes, and saves the people. Like it had so much happening in the first 4 pages that the rest of this book just felt like a roller coaster. The face of the guy with the skull is why I say it looked like a flesh mask. It may not have been 100%, because it seems like this person has some special abilities, some supernatural abilities, some maybe something from the Dia de los Muertos tradition, some of that kind of stuff, right? Like, I don't know, because there was so much of this book that I didn't understand because of the Spanish and because of the reading fast, that it was kind of a tough vibe. I will say this. This is some of your hard case crimes from Titan meets a little bit of Abbott, I would say, without necessarily the supernatural element, with some pulp set in old-timey Hollywood. So again, very interesting book. I would say a little out of character for recent Oni press releases. Right? It's a little out of left field compared to what a lot of the recent Oni stuff has been. So that's interesting. It is written and drawn by the same person, Marco Finnegan. So it all has kind of this cover art style, is how the whole book is. So if the cover art doesn't really jive with your art preferences, then the book is going to be a tough grab. But overall, I think it was interesting and it was a unique concept thus far for me.
Ooh, Black Lightning. Okay. Just like everything else that's coming out from DC, it is not being released in a vacuum. This one is directly following the effects of the Absolute Power storyline. They mentioned multiples of times that this happens right after they wrestle their powers back from Amanda Waller. I haven't actually read the last of the Absolute Power to know where Amanda is right now. I don't know what happened to her. She could be dead for all I know. But I do know that her plans were thwarted. It does go back and forth in time and kind of addresses some of the things that happened during that time. And this is neat because I don't really know a lot about Black Lightning. I will be the first to say, but you don't need to know anything because they give you really good information. It looks like it's a family. I think it's dad and 2 kids. They're adult kids, of course. Like he goes by Black Lightning. The other female goes by just straight up Lightning. And then, I forgot the last person's name. So they've got Thunder. Thank you. And what's cool about this, I don't want to give a whole bunch of it away because there's somebody that shows up. You can see her over his arm there, that they don't know who it is. Or at least if that's Thunder, then it's somebody that looks a lot like her, but like all sparks. What they say is that when everybody got back their powers, some of them, they all got a little bit skewed. Some of them, their powers were enhanced. Some of them, they got new additional powers, and some of them, their powers were lessened. So I think that's kind of cool. That means for all of the people that we now interact with in the DC All-In universe are going to be new and more interesting because they aren't going to be just the same old. They're probably discovering things for themselves. It also means that some people that had previously not had powers are just now getting powers. And they don't know how to use them. It's very surprising to them. It's scary. So this one actually is addressing them coming across someone who is coming into their powers for the first time and is very dangerous. So it's great first start. I like their costumes. I'm excited. The Waller who laughs. I'd be down for that. That cover.
You know, I didn't see the based on the Garfield movie part. That makes a difference. That cover is fire. And this book was great. The thing about this is that it's 4 of 4, and I haven't read 1 through 3, and I need to. It was 2 stories, 2 Garfield, Odie, and John stories. The first story is Garfield being Garfield and Odie being Odie and John being John. Garfield and Odie have a connection that John doesn't have with either of them. And the payoff is you read 12 pages of this story and the payoff is a one-liner from an old man who's not any of them, which is pretty great. Like, it made me actively laugh out loud. And then the second story, you meet, I don't know if you meet for the first time, if this is technically a first appearance, but in my Garfield reading, it's a first appearance. You meet Garfield's dad when he comes over for dinner. Like, he just comes over to hang out with John and Garfield and Odie. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and we find out that Garfield is afraid of spiders, which makes sense because spiders are terrifying. But Garfield tells the story of how he becomes scared of spiders, and it's a great story. And in case you wonder, it does involve a sandwich. So This was super fun. Like, again, I love these books like Garfield and Sesame Street and some of these specifically kids books that are coming out, the Kaboom stuff and some of those things, because you see it. Jen reads a lot of your mainstream superhero stuff. Jay and I get a lot of the heavier, darker stuff. And I tend to go a little bit heavier and darker than Jay in what I read anyway. So to be able to cleanse your palate with something like Garfield, which when I was a kid, I had all of those big, thick Garfield omnibuses, right? I've read a ton of Garfield in my life. This was really nice, and this was really fun, and it felt good. And at the same time, this is a book that I have no problem picking up and giving to my 5-year-old nephew and reading with him, because there's something for me. There are jokes that work for me. There are jokes that work for him. There, and at the same time, it's hijinks and shenanigans, man. It's super simple. So I really enjoyed this one.
Hey, Christina, if you haven't put in your hashtag for the prize giveaway, is hashtag love you 3000. Don't want you to miss out. Okay. It was one of those things that I went through, picked out all my books, and as I passed this one, I was like, well, I feel like there's something I need to read this for, but I don't know. I have to count how many after I pick out the ones that I just absolutely have to read. I'm so glad I picked this back up, because it would have been a bad week to have skipped it. So you see that little thing on the top there that says the eight deaths of SpiderMan? That really means a big deal here. So important to this story are SpiderMan, Dr. Doom / Sorcerer Supreme, and a little challenge that he made to essentially a god. That means that someone has to be a champion for Earth and fight some kind of godlike battle. I forget how often that this is supposed to happen, but it's all come to a head. Usually it is a specific other person that does these battles and has done it very successfully. But for whatever reason, Doom taps Peter as Spider-Man to do it. It's confusing at the beginning because it's not clear to him that that's what's happened. Doom just shows up and says a specific word, and he's like, no thanks. And then, it's a real. This is, I will tell you, there's a lot of kind of like body horror in here. This leans way to the dark side of what you might see in a Spider-Man book, because as part of what Doom hands off to him is, I forgot what they're called. It is some object that, because he's going to have to do these real life and death battles, it allows him to have X amount of lives to work through, kind of like a cat. But the ways in which you might die do not mean you will do not feel the pain of both dying and coming back together. The way, I will tell you that there is a death in here, and the way that the death happens is the most unique death I've ever seen in comic books. Ever. So this is the beginning of a cool storyline. Going to be fraught with all kinds of pain.
There's a part of this story I really want them to get around to telling. And they haven't gotten around to telling it yet, and I'm starting to get frustrated.
You're trying to tell Tom King what to do?
No. I'm trying to tell Tom King he's like that girl you go out with, and you think this is the date where you're finally going to like get to make out a little, and then she like starts having a cold. You're like, well, I guess I got to wait another time. Like he's giving you just enough to keep you in, but not enough to actually pay off the stupid story, and it's getting frustrating. So this is a story where Helen is recounting one of the adventures she took with her grandfather that analogy, that's a lot to put on a t-shirt, Jay.
That's a really long analogy.
Right. Basically, this is recounting a story of an adventure she has with her grandfather, to Lilith. And we're beginning to find out that the tapes that we've been following since the first issue of this are Lilith's, which I hesitated because I don't know that we know that for sure. I think we do. I think that was revealed like in issue 2 or 3, but we're 6 issues in and I'm having a hard time remembering. But anyway, the tapes that we've been following through this book, I believe are Lilith kind of dictating the stories that Helen told her. Right. And that's what Lilith used to write her novels. The thing about this one, that this particular issue, is that it doesn't deal with this hardly at all. And at the same time, you don't feel like it's a live action adventure. So it's like somebody telling you a story about a thing that happened one time, and you're not really living the story, which is what has made this book so wonderful. Is that for so much of this book, when Helen has been recounting the stories, it's felt like you were living them with her. And for the first time in this issue, it feels like she's just telling you. And that may be a setup for, finally starting to pay off some of this, where is this going kind of question we have. But this book was, the Bilquis Ivy art is what's dragging me through at this point. Right? Like, I hate to be this guy, Tom King, but I have ADHD, man. Like, you got to give me something or I'm out. Well, the something apparently is Bilquis's art. I just feel like it's taking too long, and the storytelling is just like, and here's another adventure, and here's another adventure, and here's another adventure, and it's like Freak of the Week or Monster Mania kind of storytelling, but dragging one little thin line through that has the potential to be a really cool payoff that they're not paying off. And so again, I really enjoy this book, but again, issues, I would say 4, 5, and 6 have been a little bit cumbersome.
Oh, Gail Simone. Keep hitting me in the feels. Stop it. It hurts. I think this is the first issue in a long time we haven't had the Mutant M, so I'm just going to have to throw the sign because you got to have it. Uncanny X-Men continues to be building on itself in a way that has both introduced new characters and made you love them every single issue, but also you have at the back of your mind the thing that was told to them at the very first issue, which is one of those brand new mutants that are part of their, like they're training them up, is going to be the doom of them all. So I think that this is going to be something that she's going to bring up every maybe 5 issues or so, just to like keep it maybe in your thoughts. But meanwhile, is going to let you fall in love with all of those characters. Dadgummit. When last we saw her, Rogue was like critically injured / dead. That takes a turn. The big bad in this series, we still don't know where they came from. But there is a huge compensation in that regard. There is the sale of children in this book, or attempted sale of children. Oh, that's not right. That's sorry, I've got it mixed together with my other X title. Sorry, disregard. And what else? There's a really cool battle. You get to see the new X peoples. You get to see their powers a little bit more. They're a little more fleshed out for you. And in things that I really love in this issue, Gambit pulls out a long box of cards because he's like, someone, I guess one of the people was like, why don't you have some other kind of cards besides playing cards, and there's some kind of collectible cards. And they have a discussion about that behind his back. Is anyone going to tell him that they're super valuable cards that he's throwing? So I don't know. Inside joke for card collectors. Look for the hidden mutant symbol like Hidden Mickey. Yep.
Speaking of mutants, do you guys remember that episode of The Lowe Files where Rob Lowe tries to Rob Lowe himself into Area 51?
No, I like the remote viewing one though.
Yeah. But do you remember the one where they're out like checking out Area 51 looking for stuff? And Rob Lowe goes, "I'm Rob Lowe. I bet I could get in." And just goes to Area 51. They're like, "No."
Move away from the fence.
Right. Like, we don't care, Chris Traeger. Leave.
But I'm cute.
We don't care, Sam Seaborn. Leave. I will tell you this much. Our turtle friend has no such level of self-awareness. This is a hard one to kind of talk about without really getting spoilery. So I will just tell you that there is a belief amongst our protagonist that others of his kind may be inside Area 51. What? And he wants them out.
Jay, pop that one on the screen. That's a good one.
By the way, Rob Lowe finally answered the question, how many Lowe's could Rob Lowe rob if Rob Lowe could rob Lowe's on Instagram the other day. And he goes, at least that one. And it's him running through the parking lot, getting chased by somebody in a Lowe's vest, which I'm pretty sure was his son. Anyway, anyway, so there's some of that, but they don't come out and say it directly, right? Like it's kind of like a wink and a nod, sort of an understanding that you're supposed to have. What they're doing in this book that is really great for the Turtles is focusing on just the one and what's happening there, but giving a recount of what else is happening to Raph's brothers or what else Raph believes has happened to his brothers. And when I say brothers, I don't necessarily mean Leo, Donnie, and Mikey. Like, he really does kind of have a feeling about the whole mutant conspiracy. John, if you're being serious, I would like to come visit your cave sometime. If you're not being serious, I don't know how to answer that joke. Yeah, it's Chad Lowe's brother. Oh man, I haven't thought about Chad Lowe in a long time. Anyway, but
in Wayne's World.
Yeah, the bad guy in Wayne's World, the bad guy in one of the Austin Powers is the bad guy in Tommy Boy. Anyway, this really does feel like a great bridge between traditional Turtles, mutant, the mutant bomb, mutagen bomb, and some of that kind of stuff, and Last Ronin. So if you're one of those people like me who loved Last Ronin, this is a must read because it kind of backfills the story gap. So that's all I can really say without getting too deep into the weeds of okay, here's the attack stratagem and like why the weaponry like it gets way too spoilery. Oh, it's true. He was Soda Pop. Played baseball with all the Sheens, Charlie and Emilio. Okay, real quick, because I think we've got some time.
Yes.
Rob Lowe has an ancestor named Christoph Ost. which was Christoph East, who was a Hessian soldier in the Revolution, who switched sides after he was captured at Yorktown and joined the American side, and was granted a piece of land in Lima, Ohio, which is about an hour and a half south of me, who wound up he was one of the first settlers of the state where I live, and because I'm this nerd, is 1 mile exactly from where my aunt and uncle currently live, and I have visited it. I've visited the plot of land that is the reason Rob Lowe exists.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. I get it. I've met me.
Here's your chance to read some Psylock that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, because the last Psylock run of 4 will break you. It's the very rarest. This one is great. It does also take place in the same like post-Krakoa era. The problem here is that she finds herself called to action because there are people that have captured some of those young mutants that have come out of the post-Krakoa era and are basically selling them at auction. You get to see her in action, just using her, I don't know, call them mind blades is the best way to call them. She's a really cool assassin, but she doesn't kill people so much as disable them mentally. Just kind of nice. But I'm sure it's still very painful for them. So, yeah, here's your chance to read a book about one of the really super cool mutants. We're going to keep on talking about Rob Lowe, though.
Lima is real. It is the largest town adjacent to Ohio's first capital, which was Kenton. And you can learn more about Rob Lowe and Christoph Ost on Who Do You Think You Are? And Finding Your Roots from the PBS people. Okay, Space Marines #2. Somewhat Worse Space Marines. I like Zach Kaplan. I really do. And this is a Zach Kaplan book. But this feels like it should be an Image book that is written by Kyle Higgins.
Gosh.
It feels like it should be in like the Radiant Black universe. But the thing I have to say is it feels like maybe it wasn't good enough to make it into the universe. They're like, look, we like what you're doing here, but it's not like quite here. It's kind of here. So we're going to send you to Mad Cave, right? And in a world where I had the Arcbound book earlier, a book with worse Space Marines really is a tough week. It felt a little rambly, felt a little all over the place. Still an interesting concept. And the concept of this is more about black holes and sort of the unknowingness of space as opposed to the conquering of space. And it's hey, we're going to check this place out for Earth, but we don't really know what we're going to find, as opposed to, oh, we're going to claim this place for Earth. We don't care what we find. We'll kill them. You know, there was a book called Earth Diver. It's Earth Diver. That Aftershock did, that this feels like maybe a spiritual successor to, even though that was Jeff Loveness who wrote that, I think. I'm trying to remember, because all I remember about that book, other than the kind of the cool concept, is Lisa Wu coming to my store and calling him on the phone and letting me talk to him about that book. Castle, my read on this is wait for the trade. Is how I feel about this, especially because there's another book a little later on that I think a lot of people that I read that I think I want to recommend to you. But I was not. this felt like the lesser good of the two Space Marines book this week, but maybe that this had higher potential to be a long running, whereas the other one feels like it's definitely limited. Arcbound feels like it could probably be no more than 6 or 8 issues. This feels like it could go for years. So, you know, if that's what you're looking for, then this is for you. But for me this week, it just felt like the lesser of two. How do we not get this book, Jay? I'm yelling at Dan.
Do they hold back? We missed that. The Mickey Woodcock is also this week, so we got a bunch of hard case.
We didn't get any of the Titan stuff this week that we normally get.
Makes me sad. Just for lack of time, because I want to make sure we get to our drawing. It is great. Heatseeker, Gun Honey, Pulp Noir.
Plenty of time, Jen.
We have plenty of time?
Yeah, after this, we only have 2 more books, and the drawing takes a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
So I don't know. I think this is cool. This is probably not aimed at me, honestly. I love crime noir, but did not grab me. And I also haven't read all of the other Gun Honey universe, and that is probably to my detriment. I don't understand it as much. But if you like kick-A gals, this one's awesome. Joanna Tan's not in this one. I don't remember that name, so maybe no.
Okay, this is the one I want to recommend to people, because this is as unique a story as I've read in a long time in comics. I mean, just truly a unique concept. Your main character is... Did you see that show Medium with Patricia Arquette, or Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt, where like people talk to ghosts and then solve murders?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that.
Thanks.
But it's kind of like that. Your main character is a consultant for the police department that no one trusts. Because she has a unique ability to do with string. And what I mean is that she can see strings between people. Like how they're connected, but 2 very specific ways they're connected. One is super fun, and one is super dark. The one that's super fun is she can tell who has hooked up with who. So, like, if you are cheating on your girlfriend, they can hire her to find out who you're cheating with, because she can see the string connections between you and them. But also at the same time, if you murder somebody, it's a different color string. So she sees blue strings between people who have hooked up, and black strings between a murderer and their victim. And so police departments and people hire her to solve these kind of mysteries of who's sleeping with who, or is my partner sleeping with, cheating on me? And then police departments hire her to find murderers and murder victims. Right?
Does the hooking up have to be like a complete physical thing, or can it be that they've just
it's addressed in the book in spoilers?
Okay.
Oh, this is what's great. The artwork is really cool. It's got some moments where it gets a little sketchy, like where it's a little bit like not clean. It's where it's like more sketched, but that has to do with the action in the scene rather than the style of the art changing. Like, there's a high-speed chase where things get a little rougher art-wise, and then once that stops, it smooths back out, like, which I get is a good tactic. But there is there are 2 things that I really like about this book. One, there's a great M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end that is fantastic. And 2, her new partner from the police department, does that thing that you do with your friends when they hook up with somebody new, where they ask a million questions, but they're never quite sure what's appropriate and what's not. And one of the questions is, how, like, hook up have to, like,
I'm not the only person who've asked this then. Okay.
no. Oh, it's great. It's addressed in the book very directly. It's super fun. This is Paul Tobin, by the way, guys. Like, so the writing is fantastic. This was my favorite book this week, only because I need to pray this person doesn't exist, just for the purposes of the blue strings, is all I'm saying.
Oh, this one's really cool. Okay, so this is a single shot that's part of this resurgence of the Valiant Universe storyline. We're in the pieces of it. It looks like maybe 3/4 of the way through the story. The bigger part of the story was where this hits. This is Auric. It's good. The whole first page of this book gives you his background. So if you didn't know he was a Visigoth, you know that now. You know from that one page how he and Shinhara got together and how all of that works. So the main part of the book is really him ending up, I think it's a different planet, and he comes across this, I don't know how to say it without there is a twist that happens with this. We'll just say it's a female god who is so strong that she's able to kind of like snap and pull Shinhara straight off of Auric and basically say, well, we'll see how strong this connection is. And sends the armor after him to kill him. That's kind of an interesting twist because they've been together for a really daggum long time. And I think this is the first time I've ever heard him call the armor she, which is interesting. You hear the armor talking all the time, but I don't ever remember him ever assessing anything other than just straight up name. But maybe it exists. Some of you guys have been around for a long time, probably know for sure. But Arg's one of my favorite characters just because I like him as a human character. And I like the interaction between, like, it's even mentioned in here that the armor, when he met it, did not even know how to talk. It didn't have a way to communicate with him. It just was. So, yeah, it's really cool. Like me and Jay and Kyle also can never tell you enough things to make you really show up with your money and try Valiant. But we really are saying it's worth jumping in. None of them have been a waste of dollars, and they really are giving the right people, like Fred Van Lente, who's in charge of writing most of this stuff. You could tell he loves the universe, and he really, really loves the characters. It comes through in the writing, and the art is just spectacular, like always. Throw in your love, you 3,000. I'm going to give away this book.
30 seconds remain for you to enter. 30 seconds.
This is the one I'm giving away. It is the one in 50 Art Germ foil. Batman 133.
All right.
As a thank you for helping us reach 3,000.
All right. While we wait, comicshoplocator.com to find comic shops nearby to you. Go to comicshoplocator.com, type in the numbers of the area where you are, and it will tell you where there are comic shops nearby to you. Give them a call. That website doesn't get updated as often as you'd like. You need to put in the hashtag there, Phil. But the website doesn't get updated as often as you would like. And you want to make sure those shops are open, that their hours are accurate, and all of that kind of stuff. Stay tuned after this. Mint Hunter will be here, slinging some books. Miss Jen will be over on CBSN with tomorrow's books today. Then later on tonight, Honest Henry from Chicago will be joining us here with Kicking It with Henry. Then tomorrow we have our normal full slate of shows with Comic Collectibles and 360 Comics. Thursday at this many in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, me and Alex from Alex, you know Alex, are doing a pop-up sale.
Heck to the yeah.
Here on the Experience. So make sure you tune in and check that out. 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Then Dan will be here Thursday afternoon, 5 o'clock Eastern, with the Dan Wickline Show. Miss Jen will be here with What's in the Box. Geek Chat will be here, as will Sketch Up with Mel and Mug. Friday, there may be another pop-up show. Keep your eyes peeled to the social medias. Okay? I'll let you know when I know. Then Nick will be here Friday evening with the Original Art Experience, and Nancy will be after that. And then Jay and I are going to do another pop-up. I don't know exactly when. Maybe next weekend. Not this coming one, but the weekend after. The producers are taking over the airwaves again. I already have the thumbnail made. I just got to find a time in our schedules. Let's draw the thing.
Woo! Spin the whatevers.
Jay, you put us in. How do we?
All right.
All right. If your name is John Castle,
Spinatopolis.
fill out the form at the link that I am posting in the comments right now, so that Miss Jen can get your address and get that book shipped out to you. And we will see everybody next time here on Minute to Skim It.
Way to go!